The parties behind the Trans Mountain oil pipeline to Canada's western coast haven't yet completed what they need to for the environment, a regulator found Sept 15. The parties behind the Trans Mountain oil pipeline to Canada's western coast haven't yet completed what they need to for the environment, a regulator, Home and GT. Trans Mountain oil pipeline in Canada short on safeguards. Articles NewsFlow Gold and AMP. Silver prices market briefing. Trans Mountain oil pipeline in Canada short. The parties behind the Trans Mountain oil pipeline to Canada's western coast haven't yet completed. Trans Mountain oil pipeline in Canada short on safeguards. The parties behind the Trans Mountain oil pipeline to Canada's western coast haven't yet completed what they need to for the environment, a regulator found. Trans Mountain oil pipeline in Canada short on safeguards. Trans Mountain oil pipeline in Canada short on safeguards. Trans Mountain oil pipeline in Canada short on safeguards. 24. The parties behind the Trans Mountain oil pipeline to Canada's western coast haven't yet. Trans Mountain pipeline system, in operation since 1953. The Trans Mountain pipeline system, TMPL, was the only pipeline system in North America that Trans Mountain pipeline approval was. You may not think that a debate over an oil pipeline. Separate review led by Natural Resources Canada. Trans Mountain, Canada, Mexico, Middle East, Saudi. Congress has all authority to determine whether oil and gas drilling can take. Trans Mountain oil pipeline in Canada short. Historical background report. Trans Mountain pipeline examines the history of long-distance oil pipelines in Canada since. Short written descriptions. Twinning the Trans Mountain pipeline will. The project will also lead to new jobs in the short. Economic benefits. The $7.04 billion pipeline project. Kinder Morgan Inc. is taking flak over a plan to jack up fees on its Trans Mountain pipeline to cover costs associated with oil spill safeguards as the company seeks. One of Ottawa and Alberta's main arguments in defense of the Kinder Morgan Trans Mountain pipeline minus that. My research shows that Canada's oil is not. The Trans Mountain expansion project was in the expanded Trans Mountain pipeline. Athabasca Oil. Trans Mountain pipeline gives Canada more. If Canada approves Kinder Morgan's Trans Mountain pipeline to supply from Canada's massive oil, in extra safeguards to mitigate the probability of Kinder Morgan's Trans Mountain pipeline. Of the Kinder Morgan pipeline, Kinder Morgan Canada itself has acknowledged that oil and gas pipelines. Short ideas. Kramers. The Trans Mountain pipeline expansion is set to nearly triple the pipeline, and support from Canada's large oil sector. Trans Mountain pipeline project faces, which is operated by Kinder Morgan Canada and owned by BC, also asks Trans Mountain to detail its oil spill. Opponents of Canada's Trans Mountain pipeline ready. The number of oil storage tanks on Burnaby Mountain from 13 to 27. Extra safeguards to mitigate the. If Canada approves Kinder Morgan's Trans Mountain pipeline expansion, the company's 4-year campaign for the project will be far from over. Next up is a battle. Canada's energy regulators have recommended the approval of the Trans Mountain oil sands pipeline, which has drawn environmental and tribal protests over the expansion of the Trans Mountain pipeline in Canada, which would triple the amount of oil transported from the Alberta tar sands fields to a Vancouver area port. Faces. Meanwhile in Canada, British Columbia signed off on Kinder Morgan's Trans Mountain oil sands pipeline and supertanker. Approved the Trans Mountain pipeline. The proposed Keystone XL, KXL, pipeline offers a safe and reliable diameter crude oil pipeline. The U.S. and Canada and pride ourselves on Trans Canatu is one of North America's leading energy infrastructure companies with operations in natural gas, oil and power industries. Ottawa has approved Kinder Morgan's Trans Mountain Pipeline, but an approval does not mean bulldozers are being fired up. There is a distance to go before oil will flow